Protesting students are braving possible retaliation by Chinese authorities. The powers that be in Beijing are controlling who gets nominated to run the once independent city. Students and other demonstrators want the election to be more open. They are taking a huge risk. Dozens have been arrested in confrontations alone just this weekend. Well, Professor Rebecca Karl teaches East Asian Studies at New York University, and welcome to Arise Review.
Thank you.
Wow. Are we going to see anything here in the likes of what we saw in Tiananmen Square? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, this is clearly an ongoing story. We don't know where it's going to go from here, and it very much depends on who gets involved in the repression and the disbursement of the students. Mm-hmm. If it remains at the level of the Hong Kong police, which is where it is now, we could probably see a leveling off of the violence and the violent way in which they're being dispersed. If, however, you get the PRC troops coming out of their barracks in Hong Kong in order to disperse students and demonstrators, then you'll see something else.
Well, Professor, we want to talk about this in terms of exactly why these students are protesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's two separate movements that are coming together here. One is the Occupy Central with Love and Peace, which is a movement that was started in September by, or earlier than September, but it was it's started by a reverend and some other notable people at the top of Hong Kong society, not the business community,
right,
but a different in the schools and so on. And the students have formed their own protests and their own organizations. And the students took over last week. They decided that they needed to go on strike with in their classes. They occupied their universities, and now they've come out onto the streets, where they've come out of their university out of their campuses, and they're now on the streets and have now mixed with and are being joined by this other group, the Occupy Central with Love and Peace.
Well, here's a question, and there's one word: autonomy. You know, the British turned Hong Kong back over to China back in 1984.
Yes.
Hong Kong was supposed to have some level of autonomy. Has Beijing reneged on that?
Well, the turnover was in 1997. The handover was in 1997. The basic law that governs that was signed in 1984.
Right.
The autonomy really did refer to and continues to refer to the economic system, where Hong Kong was to continue to be capitalist, while China was not yet capitalist. Back in 1984, China was still feeling its way out of the Maoist era and so on. And so it really never referred to particularly to the political system, because Hong Kong had never been an autonomous place. It had been a colony of the British Empire. And so,
well, I guess the question is, Professor, then how do you gel the two? You're talking about politics and you're talking about the economy, and maybe they're really not so separate after all. Anyway.
We realize, of course, they can't be separated. This is obviously true. And yet the Chinese have tried over and over again, by moving China's reforms into a more capitalist vein while keeping its politics very, very repressed. The Chinese have tried over and over again to precisely make that separation. What the students are saying now, and the Occupy Central with Love and Peace are saying right now, is these cannot be separated. We will not tolerate a free economy and an unfree politics. And so that's precisely, the separation is precisely what they're contesting.
All right, so the students here probably have a good cause in the eyes of many people, but at the end of the day, do you think they can possibly win against a totalitarian regime as strong and powerful and as autonomous as China?
I think the definition of victory is going to have to change here. The definition of victory cannot be that they will win actual reform in what the PRC, what the Chinese are trying to do. The definition of victory will be that they will have politicized a whole generation of Hong Kong youth who have very historically been anti-political or apolitical.
Sure.
And so this is really the linking the Hong Kong demonstrations up with the Taiwan demonstrations and so on. This new generation of Chinese who are not in China, their politicization is the real story here.
Okay, Professor Rebecca Karl, thank you so much.
Thank you.